How to build a regular PC system unit. Today I'll be showing you how to assemble or build a regular PC system unit. It's not much different in building gaming rig, but there are a few tips and recommendations I have for you guys. Before we begin, let's discuss what you'll need. Please subscribe for more videos. CPU, Central Processing Unit or Processor. The single most important part of your machine. This is the brain of your computer, computing everything from word processing the physics in your hardcore shooter games. RAM, Random Access Memory. This stores everything that is being used in real time. When the computer is off, the RAM is empty. Graphics card. For a gaming PC, you will need a discrete, separate, graphics card. And also for editing, rendering video. Using the onboard chipsets of motherboards and integrated graphics of processors is not recommended for gaming setup or for heavy workload. The integrated graphics card may work for several mid to high setting of games but not at all, and also slow in rendering video. Hard drive. This is where the operating system, Windows, your games, music, videos and files are stored. In this modern technology, we are using SSD or solid-state drive for our operating system and data. M.2 SSD is recommended for best read and write speed experience. PSU, Power Supply Unit. Pretty straightforward, this supplies power to every component in the computer. Motherboard. Everything connects to the motherboard in some way. It connects components the way roads connect people. Preparation procedure. I suggest before you start anything, use an anti-static wristband. This will helps you, not to damage the motherboard parts. Prepare all of the tools you need. Use a standard Phillips head screwdriver. Open the case. Unscrew the thumb screws on either side of the case to open both sides up. Next is by installing the CPU. For the new CPU, remove the CPU from its protective plastic. Do not touch the gold pins on bottom. On the motherboard, push the CPU cover up and then the lever on the side. Place the CPU in gently, using the arrows to line it up correctly. Then push the CPU cover down firmly but not roughly. It will fall quite hard. Add the heatsink. Be sure the heatsink will fit right over the processor. It has 4 screws, sometimes 2 less tabs, that will have to be secured. Next is by installing the RAM. Unlock the clips on the RAM slots. Then install the RAM modules in the appropriate slots. There is a groove in the RAM that corresponds to the slot. Push down together on both sides of the module. You will hear clicking sound and lock the clips of the RAM by positioning it over the module. Repeat the procedure for the additional module. Next is by installing the power supply unit. Remove the thumb screw securing the power supply bracket. Attach it to the power supply with the screws. Then thread the cables through the case, and push the PSU until it is flush with the case. Make sure the PSU does not choke any cables. Next is by attaching the I/O shield. Your motherboard will come with a small metal piece that fit over the ports on the motherboard. This goes in a rectangular hole in the back panel of the case. Simply snap it into place. Next is by installing the motherboard. Place the motherboard in the case and slide it until the ports fit through the I/O shield. Secure the motherboards to the case. Your case should come with some screws. The number of screws required depends on your motherboard type. Most CPU cases support all types of motherboard. Use the screws to secure the motherboards to the case. It's a good idea to put them all first loosely until you finalize the exact motherboard position, then secure them tight. Not too tight, otherwise you'll crack the PCB of the motherboard, which isn't good. Next is by installing the graphics card. Some GPU requires 6 or 8 pins power connector for the power source, especially for the gaming computer, but in my case, it is not applicable in my GPU. It doesn't require any other power source. Remove the expansion slot covers on the back of the case, and slide the graphics card into place. Then push it down into the slot on the motherboard until it clicks firmly into place, then secure with the thumb screws. On some other motherboard, you should first attach the front panel audio connector before installing an GPU in order to position the audio connector cable. Next is by installing the hard drive. Remove the hard drive bracket from your computer. Secure it to the back of your hard drive. Slide the bracket with the hard drive back into the drive bay. Connect PSU to motherboard. There will be a 24-pin connector that powers the motherboard. Connect in the indicated spot, attaching the heatsink power. Next is the heatsink power cord. Mostly small 3 pins attached to the motherboard's CPU fan connector, attaching the CPU case fans to its power source. The case will have a small 3-pin connector for the case fan. Hook this in the indicated spot. There will be another in the back that will need a 3-pin to Molex adapter. Hook the adapter into the PSU and the other end to the 3-pin connector, attaching the hard drive power and data cable. Hook the SATA power cable to the hard drive and connect data cable one end to the hard drive and the other to the motherboard, and finally by flipping the switch on the PSU. The remaining cables are the panel header where the power switch, reset, and HDD indicator light are connected. But first we should check our work if it is okay so that we will not need to reopen the case again. So in this section, we should determine the power connector in the header. Connect the 2 power connector pins to power the computer. Here's it. The system is displaying some information.